It is always a popular subject to talk about the power of thoughts and intention. There is also a great deal of material on the inner reality, and how this exterior world is the result of an inner intention. Unfortunately, whether we look at the ancient past, or at modern ideas and techniques on the art of thought power and manifestation, it is oftentimes very difficult to find ways to actually exercise this mental power that we all possess. People usually only have access to general visualization techniques that can be very helpful when done properly, but that do require a great deal of time and attention to work. As a result, many experience disappointment when these visualizations don't work right away, and they give up before they are able to see positive results. In this video, I want to provide a much more powerful mental technique than just simple visualization. With it you should be able to exercise far greater mental power. I will be showing you how to create a highly specialized type of thought form. I will be showing you how to create a servitor. A servitor is essentially a servant that you create in order to do your bidding. It is a creature created on the astral plane that performs a certain task which you require. I am going to show you how to make a servitor, so that you can use it in order to help you. This is my version of creating a servitor. It is the John Kreiter special, which means that it is in some ways simpler, but also a far more powerful method of creating an astral being for your purposes. A servitor could be used to guard your property or loved ones. It could be used to help you create an aura about yourself. For example, you might create a servitor that is sort of like a light, that fills you with confidence, bravery, luck, etc. Or a servitor could be created even to bring you things that you might need. The general explanation of what a servitor is that it is a concentrated thought form that is created to perform certain tasks. Esoterically, it is believed that thoughts can be concentrated to such a degree that these thoughts eventually become physically real. The explorer and writer Alexandra David Neal, for example, wrote at great length about her encounters with thought forms in Tibet, which they call tulpa, and how Tibetan monks were incredibly adept at creating these. She also writes how she was able to create one of these tulpas herself, after many months of effort. This tulpa eventually became so solid that others in her expedition party were able to see it as well. In order to create a decently functioning servitor, you do not need to spend months putting it together, and certainly it does not need to be so powerful that others can see it. For those that find it difficult to believe that thought forms can be coalesced into such a power, that they can actually affect reality or can be seen by other people, there is also a psychological explanation that might help. Some psychologists like to expound the theory that the human psyche can be seen of as made up of different parts. That is, what we consider to be a whole personality is actually a personality made up of a whole bunch of different sub-personalities working together. There is a part of you, for example, that is a complainer, while there is another part of you that likes to win at all costs. Since we seamlessly cycle from one part, or sub-personality, of our whole personality to another, we do not notice that in actuality we are made of many different parts working together. A servitor then is sort of like a part that you are creating through the use of a ritual act. You either create a whole new sub-personality, or you round up a few of these sub-personalities, in order to manifest a new one that is well suited to a particular purpose. When this psychological explanation fails, is when you have coincidences or synchronicities that happen which seem to be beyond mere psychological action. Please see my earlier video on synchronicity to find out more on this subject, and how thoughts might affect reality, through either the collective unconscious, or the remapping of probable events, at a personal subconscious level. At any rate, I can tell you from personal experience that these servitors do function quite well, and that their use can be highly profitable if you learn this skill. To create a servitor, you need to go about it in 3 parts: construction, charging, and casting. We begin this process then with construction. The first step is construction, which means that you have to create a symbolic representation of your servitor. This to me is the most fun aspect of servitor creation, because you are essentially using your creative talents to come up with a design for a new being. I suggest that you look far and wide, and borrow ideas from any source that you might have available to you. The one thing that you must keep in mind is that you want functionality above all else. Think of what it is that you want your servitor to do. If, for example, you want a servitor that will go out into the world and get something for you, then you might want to give it really strong arms, or perhaps even tentacles that it can use to latch onto what it wants, in order to bring it back to you. If you want a servitor to protect your home, you might want to give it armor, of one kind or another, so that it can protect you in the best way possible. As I said, you can do whatever you think is best. Just remember to stick to functionality, and I might also suggest that you create a smaller creature instead of a bigger one, as it takes more energy and time to charge a bigger servitor. The best way to do this is to grab some scrap paper and write down on it a statement of intent. This statement basically represents what you want your servitor to do, or what you wish to accomplish with your servitor. Once you have the statement of intent, think of a creature that you believe would best be able to perform the duty that you want it to accomplish. As I stated above, use your imagination here and create something that you really like, and that you think will be able to do what you want it to do. You can even borrow certain creatures that already exist, and use this image as your personal servitor. For example, it would be a great idea to use something like an angry bird to guard your home. At the first sign of trouble, it flies off and explodes, driving away any evil person or energy. Once you have your statement of intent, and you have created a good representation of what your servitor looks like, the next step is to create a more cartoonish or simplified version of this servitor on paper. For example, if you have created an armored turtle to protect your home, draw a really simple stick figure of this turtle. You might want to just draw a simple hexagon to represent this servitor that you are creating. It will essentially be the symbol by which you will know your servitor. Think of it as a logo of your servitor. The final step is to give your servitor a name. Again, this is all up to you, so try and come up with a name that you find suited to your servitor, and to what its purpose is. Also try and think of something that you like, and that will inspire you when you are using your servitor in the future. Tell this name to no one. So, on this piece of paper you should have statement of intent at the top, a paragraph or a point-by-point description of what you want your servitor to do, a personal drawing of your servitor which should be as complex as you can make it, a point-by-point description of your servitor's special powers or capabilities, which should be apparent in your drawing. No one else should be seeing this drawing, so don't worry about trying to make it perfect. You just want a good description of the creature that you are trying to create. A simplified version of the descriptive picture that you have made. This is a symbol or logo of your servitor. The name of your servitor at the bottom. Charging. Now that you have created the effigy of your servitor, you need to bring it to life. In order to do this, you will be charging it with thought force, which is essentially personal attention. Whether you believe in the psychological aspects of creating a different part of your personal psyche, or whether you believe that you need to create a thought form of enough intensity so that it can eventually affect the material world, what you essentially need to do here is to charge your servitor and give it your concentrated attention. You can either use the scrap piece of paper that you used to come up with your servitor, or you can get another piece of paper and on it draw the logo of your servitor along with its name. Find a quiet place where you can be alone and put that piece of paper before you so you can see it. Focus all your attention on that logo and begin to repeat the name of your servitor. As you do so, imagine as vividly as possible that this servitor is real and that it is alive before you. Keep repeating the name, and if you can, try to imagine your servitor coalescing about the piece of paper that you have drawn. But most importantly, try to believe with every fiber of your being that this servitor is alive and is now before you. Try to do this exercise for a good 10 to 30 minutes. I recommend that you do this exercise at least 3 times, on 3 different days, before you consider your servitor to be functional. The more times that you do this exercise, the stronger that your servitor will become, and the more powerful that its influence will be. If you are creating a servitor that you will only use once, then charging it 3 times should be good enough. If you are creating a servitor that will be around for a while, then you could charge it initially, and then recharge it every month or so depending on what feels good for you. If it's a servitor that you will use once, and then maybe use again in a few months or years, charge it as usual every time you need to use it. Casting. The final part of using your servitor is to give it its instructions in a concise way and send it out to do your bidding. The best way to do this is to first charge your servitor until you have a good sense, a strong belief, that it is indeed alive before you, perhaps floating above its logo and name on that paper. Then, once you are confident that it is there, call its name, give it its instruction, and send it on its way. Calling your servitor by its name, you might say something like, "Go out and protect this home. Go now." And then point in the direction you want it to go. Think of your servitor sort of like a pet that you have created, or perhaps a computer program that you have written, in order to do your bidding. Be strong and commanding in your tone whenever you address it, and always remember that it works for you, and not the other way around. If you ever see it fleeting around, not acting in a way that you want it to, order it to get back to work, or tell it to make itself scarce until you need it. If you're having problems in this area, then I suggest that you watch a few episodes of the television show, The Dog Whisperer, so that you clearly understand what it means to be a leader. Whether a psychological exercise, or a truly alive astral being and thought form, your servitor will be able to accomplish amazing things if it is created correctly. Be imaginative in your creations, and how you wish to accomplish your desires. This is a truly wonderful way to deal with some of the problems that you might have in your life, and the sky's the limit as to what your servitors can do. For example, I know a lady that created a servitor that was a big 1920s oil lamp. This servitor gave off this beautiful green light, and its purpose was to hang just above the front door of her house, illuminating anyone coming into the house with its light. The green light was beautiful, loving energy. The servitor was created to bring harmony to the home, and to give good feelings to any visitor entering into the home. There is a magical world all around us, and it can be accessed by anyone who is willing to put the time and effort to discover our occult reality. If you are interested in learning about how to become more aware of these powerful thought forms, and how to control them, then I suggest you check out my books. Create a Servitor, harness the power of thought forms. Create a Servitor companion. Manifest wealth and prosperity with thought forms and servitors. In these books you will find far more detailed description of how thought forms and servitors function, how they are created, and how to create many different specialized kinds of servitors. I will leave a link to them in the description below.